What is up, everybody? I hope you're all having a great week. Happy to be back with another special video. This is the entire 18-hole match between me and Steve Coyce. This was a well-fought match, and we had a lot of fun making this video. If you guys could take the time to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, that would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, let me introduce once again my co-commentator joining me via FaceTime, Steve Coyce.
Hey Kyle, and hey everybody. Thanks for having me here on another video. And it got off to a good start. Like you said, it was a well-fought battle, and I think you'll see here in a second. Fireworks kind of came early.
Yeah, I was showing the angle there. I don't know if you can see it. For you guys who don't know, it's literally, I'm looking at my screen right now, it just struck 3 a.m. in the morning. But I'm leaving in the morning to do some more vlogs across the country, and so Steve and I was like, we're going to do it right now so we can have it done and so we can have it ready for y'all by a little bit earlier. So it's been a...
So yeah, kind of drove the green here to start the match. It was not what you like to see your opponent do, but yeah. I've still got a birdie putt here to tie the hole.
Yeah, this was... I really feel like this was the perfect course for us to do this because it was a pretty short course and there's also a really open course, meaning like you're going to see here coming up, like this hole there was trouble on the right, but you could literally bail so far left that it really didn't come into play, and that's what you're about to see me do here. Just kind of put it out left, and yeah, that's kind of the way to go. And I also thought this would be a great place for us to have our battle because we have actually probably played this course. How many times do you think we played this course? At least 3 or 4, right? At this point?
Yeah, probably, 3 or 4.
So we have pretty good course knowledge. And I know I always talk to you guys about how one of my biggest struggles is playing courses I don't really know too much about. But this was a little different. We had a pretty good idea of what we were doing here in terms of managing our way around the course. So it was a pretty even playing field. And yeah, this was... what was it? It had to have been like 95, 98 degrees, something like that.
Oh, yeah. Probably the hottest day of the entire time I was down in North Carolina.
Yeah, it was definitely sweltering out, and you can imagine he's my one-stop power shop teammate. We're both coached by the same long drive coach, which is why we're both down in North Carolina and Salemburg, which is where this course is. So you can imagine what it must be like swinging a club 150 miles an hour in 95-degree weather. So we were definitely happy to play golf on this particular day instead. And I think you could probably already see, we're already sweating. And we did play the 5-6 hole challenge with the 7-iron. I'll link that video at the top right now for you guys if you guys want to see that. We already did that beforehand. So we played, I think, 24 holes today on this day.
Yeah.
So it was pretty brutal.
So one of the struggles I had, I don't know, Kyle, if you feel the same way, but it was the grain on the greens. And
oh, yeah.
I know how to read it and stuff like that, but it's still hard to believe that a putt that looks downhill can break up the hill because of the grain.
Oh, yeah. I think we're about to see that out of you right there. So I think I've already got a 2-shot lead on Steve after 2 holes. So it started off about as good for me as I could have expected. But no, yeah, that's the toughest part about this course, in my opinion, is kind of figuring out the grain and all that good stuff. Obviously, hitting shots like that don't make it any easier. That's the dreaded pull hook where it goes miles long of where you want it to go. So Steve's got a bit of an opening here. I think I hit pitching wedge, and he's taking a little bit off of a 9-iron here, trying to
just trying to flight it in there.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell because we had played a couple times. We know that the wind does swirl in spots, and this is one of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was definitely it was not a windless day by any means. It was probably gusting 10, 12 miles an hour. Not a ton of wind, but it definitely wasn't an insignificant amount of wind. So we had to contend with that. You will see a lot of choke down shots and knockdown shots, just trying to keep the ball in front of us. Because as a lot of people can imagine, with our speed, we will impart a lot of spin. So we've always had to contend with that. That's probably, in my opinion, and Steve, you can definitely give your thoughts on this, but in my opinion, one of the toughest things about being a fast swinger of the golf club with regards to playing regular golf is being able to control spin.
Yeah, control spin, and that certainly relates to the gaps and the different distances that we can hit our clubs. You know, we could hit a pitching wedge for a 130-yard shot, or we could hit a pitching wedge for a 200-yard shot.
Yeah, I agree. And this was a fun hole. I think we were like, it was at least 10, 12 miles an hour downwind, and we both just absolutely uncorked this one. And once again, there's trouble up the right, but there's actually, I think it's like hole 8 or 7. It runs concurrent right back the opposite way, so you can literally pull it way left and be okay. But we both hit pretty good drives here. I went a little bit right, but I was still fine. I think we both hit our drives over 400 yards on this hole, or very close to it. So that's always.
So I think the hole's a little over 500, and I think it was 90 there to the front pin.
Yeah, we were both miles out there, and then I was getting really frustrated because the one thing I couldn't stand about this course, even though I really enjoyed playing it, was how much sand there was around everywhere. And I probably caught it fat almost every time hitting it out of the sand. I could not for the life of me catch this crisp. And so I know that's pretty embarrassing to have a 90-yard shot in and still be probably 40 yards away trying to get up and down for birdie. So that was kind of the frustrating thing. And I'm sure you probably felt this too. It felt like a course, especially the way we were hitting it today. We really hit it great. This really felt like a course we should have both probably shot 65 or better on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Some of the scoring like that was tough. Got a little rust on the game right now, but
yeah,
we still, as people will see, the scores still did pretty well.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see, given the state of long drive right now. I know you plan to play a little bit more this summer in regular golf, and I've played with Steve. We must have played like probably 10 rounds or something like that while we were down. And just so you guys know, we are now. I'm back in Maryland, getting ready to leave for Firestone tomorrow, and he's in Phoenix, so we're no longer in the same area, which obviously is why he's joining me on FaceTime. And by the way, I did clean that putt up for par. The file got corrupted, but it was like 2.5 feet, and it was kind of a kick in. But no, we played for probably 10 rounds or something like that, and I would definitely be comfortable in saying that Steve probably played to a +2, +1 if you put all those rounds together. And I was probably right up there with him. What'd you shoot? Because we played at Keith Hills, and we played a really serious money match, like no cameras, like we were really trying to win. What'd you shoot, like 68, 67?
I think it was a 68.
And you didn't. Yeah. I don't think he hit a single club over a five. He hit one drive, and then he hit like nothing but 5 irons or less. And same with me. I think I shot a 71 or 2.
Well, I was kind of lucky because for all of these rounds, I didn't bring down all my irons. I brought kind of like every other one. Yeah. So it just worked out, that I wasn't too out of position in terms of that. But yeah, we both played really well that day. And the whole time that we were there, like you said in the other video, you were a great sparring partner for me. And we had a lot of good matches and a lot of good long drive too. Yeah,
I think... as we mentioned earlier, he's a great guy to have around because, we both have very similar skill sets. And it's just funny because I'm just watching us miss birdie putt after birdie putt here. Just as you said earlier, the grain was definitely making it tough to get a beat on the putts. And I think also, obviously, if you're kind of used to shooting around par and you have all these, really good birdie opportunities, I think mentally it's sometimes tough to really pull that trigger and start making tons of really good putts and go really, really low. I feel like there's a kind of a mental thing that goes on a lot with people that are kind of playing better than they expect to play. It messes with your comfort zone a little bit. So I feel like that might have been at play for us here as well. And this was another hole. I mean, Steve was pretty smart here because he kind of took a little bit off of this one and didn't go crazy far. And for whatever reason, I didn't think I could get to this green, and I absolutely melted this one. I mean, it carried like 20 yards over the green, I think, and it ran too. I probably had and you guys will see this multiple times. I'd have like 40 or 50 yards back the other way. You can see Steve out here a bit to the right. I'm long of the green, so I think
I was pin high right and he was long left.
Yeah.
Guys, be sure to remind Kyle when he's playing 350-yard holes, he does not need a full driver.
Yeah, you can see where I'm. Looks like I'm probably like 30 yards over the screen here, and I had a really hard shot. This was probably one of my best shots of the day. Pulled a Phil Mickelson shot out of the bag and flopped it up there pretty nicely. Kind of got myself back in position. I might have honestly played a pitch wedge and bump and runned it up, but I always feel more comfortable with the carry because I feel like I can predict how the ball is going to react on the ground. And yeah, you guys have seen it with me, and Steve has the same issue from time to time, leaving putts short. But it's definitely something I find it to be a pretty funny irony how we hit it so far, but we seem to leave putts short all the time. So once again, 2 pretty bad birdie putts, and we're still. I think we're both even at this point. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, even par. And this was a stroke play match. We considered doing match play, but we thought it might be a little more interesting if we did stroke play, because that way you guys can see kind of without the match play strategy, just us playing golf. So
that was a good miss for me, and thankfully I had a number of those where they were not well hit, but they went straight.
Yeah, that was kind of the same thing. Like with me, I wasn't hitting it super pure, but they were going pretty straight. So that was about as good as I could expect in that regard. Unfortunately the TrackMan wasn't running on this hole for whatever reason, just didn't start up. But don't worry, the TrackMan will be back up on the next hole. So we hit 2 really good drives here. It was actually a bit into the headwind. This was kind of the first time we had a hole where we couldn't just go driver chip. Kind of had a little like a flip wedge. But I don't know if you noticed this, but Steve, but we played so much golf at this point that I actually felt like we had really good touch with our wedges. It was just a matter of trying to make putts and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel like that might be something for us to think about, and for everyone else out there to think about when it comes to improving your game. Sometimes it's good to just get out there and play tons of golf. I know that's my one regret as a junior golfer. I spent way too much time in the practice areas working on my game instead of working on scoring on the course. And so I noticed myself getting progressively better with every round I played. And we probably played, I think I mentioned it earlier, we probably played like 10 or 12 rounds in the space of like 2.5 weeks. So we were playing a lot.
Yeah, we were. And it's similar to a long drive, as Kyle, you can attest that, you just need that certain number of repetitions.
Yeah.
So whether it's long drive or these wedges or putts or something, a lot of times you just got to get through your reps in.
Yeah, I think that's that. I think, well, because just for the viewers' information, we had plans of doing this match for a while. We've been down in North Carolina. This was the day before we left, actually, before we both flew out. So we've been down for like probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Well, at least I had been. Steve had literally been down there for 2 months.
3 months. It was 3 months.
Because of COVID and the pandemic. Because he actually been down there to start training for our first event. And when COVID hit, he just stayed down there because it was probably, it was a lot safer in North Carolina.
And probably the best place to be with One Stop Power Shop.
So we spent probably 2 or 3 weeks actually getting ready for this match. Like we really so our games were probably about, I would say they're about as sharp as they normally could be. I would have definitely liked to play a match without the camera because I'm sure, as you guys can imagine, having the TrackMan and the camera, lugging that around is a tremendous distraction. But, we were both dealing with it, so it was still a level playing field. But I feel like, honestly, we might have left a few putts out there that the camera might have made a difference because it was a bit of a distraction. And, there's me in this the sand again. I mean,
back on the sand.
I wish you guys could, I don't know, but it's just, for whatever reason, I'm a pretty confident golfer on the course, but whenever I was in these sand pits, my confidence just eroded because I literally felt like I needed to hit an absolutely perfectly clipped shot to get it to go far. And I literally took like a full swing on that and played like a bunker shot because the sand was like loose. It wasn't packed in like a sand trap. It was just really loose. So like the ball had no support.
And then there are little kind of random patches of grass.
Yeah.
So you're not sure how to play it. Should you try to pick it? Should you splash it? And that's the struggle.
Oh yeah, that was the toughest part about it. And so I got a par saver here. One of my best putts of the day. So I got out of there with a par. And I think this is for Steve to go one up from a birdie, get under par, knock that one in. And so I think at this point, we'll see here, but I think he's 1 under through 8. I think I'm even through 8. It's been a kind of a pretty back and forth match. It never really got, I don't think any of us had more than like a 2-shot lead either way at any point of this round. So it was really tight. It was a lot
Yeah,
like the Keith Hills match we had, where I think he beat me by like 1 or 2 shots. I played good. He just played lights out. I mean, he just didn't make a mistake the entire round. I think that we played kind of like a practice round match without the cameras at Lakewood, and I think I shot like a 72. Would you shoot like 74, 75? Something like that.
I'm really not sure. Some of those rounds are kind of blending together.
Yeah. All I know is I emptied your pockets a bit, the round there. But yeah, it's been back and forth, but it's been, it's nice to have competition outside of the long drive grid. And yeah, there's me in the sand again, but I was able to actually catch this a little bit thinner. I caught it a little too thin, but it had a lot of spin on it, so it held the green. I think this is to shoot a 36 on the front, and yeah, that never really had a chance. But yeah, and I knocked that one in as well. And he's got, I think this is to shoot a 34. So let's go. I think 3 up. And you left it short. So there you go. Boy, he can swing at 145 miles an hour, but he can't get a 10-footer there. And now we're on to hole number 10.
Yeah, so this was a really cool hole. Downhill over some water and then back up the hill on a par 5.
Yeah, this was a fun tee shot. Like, I know you guys can't see it, but there's a pond. It's probably 320 to carry, and this one was probably the craziest drive I've hit my entire time down there. The wind kind of gusted up a bit, and I absolutely nutted this one, and it probably went about 430 yards. And keep in mind, this is a par 5. We both had less than 100 yards in, which was I thought that was pretty hilarious. And I know a lot of the guys watching out there would agree. I feel like when you get into this position, it's such a sweetheart position to be in, literally having a flip wedge in. And there you can see the tee, and then there's my ball, how far away that is. Like, it's such a sweetheart position to be in, like a flip wedge on your second shot into a par 5, that it's almost the embarrassment of not making a minimum of a birdie from there puts so much more pressure on you to hit a good shot. And that was like the one thing I didn't want to do. I just was like, okay, just don't catch it heavy. Like, because I knew Steve was waiting for me to chili dip the absolute crap out of that one.
Yeah, so I was actually, you can see I was walking up. I had a better vantage point. He was hitting over a bit of a hill, and he hit it really well. I think it might have landed on a downslope.
It just ran, man. I can't. Yeah. When I hit it, I thought it'd be close. I could not believe, especially because it's uphill. Like, you're gonna see my putt here. I mean, that ran up a really steep slope. I think it was a factor of it being downwind, and I caught it pretty flush, so it probably didn't have a ton of spin. And so I was really just pretty defensive on this putt because this, as I've said, we've played this course a couple times, and this is probably the toughest green in the course. If not, it's definitely in the top 3. You can very easily 3-putt this hole, so I was just happy to get out of there with the birdie and get back to even, and just hope Steven messes this putt up. But no, he's gonna knock it in. So I think he's 2 under. Yeah, he's 2 under through 11. I'm even through 11. So we're both playing pretty good. But he's definitely coming to play.
This was kind of a funny shot. So I hit it on the bottom of the club. It's a little hard to tell on the Pro Tracer here, but it was just a little bullet. I mean, that was pretty low.
Yeah, it was like when I was watching the playback to put the shot tracers on, I was like, I cannot believe how low you hit that in the face. But it worked out. It was a good miss.
Yeah.
I got very lucky here too. I thought I was heading for trouble, but my ball landed soft. Like it literally was in the fairway almost. I was like hoping it would be in play. So we're both in pretty good position here. This is another tricky hole because it's one of those holes where it's really, at first glance, it doesn't look hard at all, but it's kind of a sneaky hole because the green's a little bit elevated and it's a little slick and kind of small. So it's pretty easy if you get a little too close to this hole to not get enough spin and run it out off the green. And I hit another awesome flop shot here. This carried that lip of the bunker by maybe 1.5 yards. And it still got pretty close to the hole, so I didn't have a lot of breathing room. So now Steve's got, looks like about 10-footer. And will he make this one? Nope.
You can see, obviously, I'm getting a little frustrated at this point. It was just one of those days,
Yeah. It was definitely, it was definitely a tough green to say the least. But, yeah. And I knocked it in, so a bit of a swing there. And Got 1 under now, so that was pretty good. And on to hole
Yeah,
12.
so this is a good hole. This is a tight and long par 4, probably the longest par 4 on the course.
Oh yeah, easily the longest par 4. This was, and again, you can bail out right here, and so what you kind of want to do is aim at the edge of that car path and kind of try to sneak it back into the fairway a little bit, or do what Steve does and just aim at the left center and hit a cut. You can do either. But yeah, that's kind of the prerogative here, and I played this hole really well, and I think Steve did in the times we played it, and I feel like it was the toughest par 4 in the course, but I don't know if you guys out there or Steve has the same thing, but I feel like when there's a really hard hole, or it's known as a hard hole, I tend to play it a lot better than I normally would, just because I know it's a hard hole. I feel like my guard's up a little more, so I'm really trying to score on it. And then the opposite happens on easy holes. I feel like, well, I better shoot a good score, and I put pressure on myself to get a birdie on the hole, and it just doesn't work out. So, yeah, this is another one that just ran. I couldn't believe how far this ran, but again, it was downwind, so I wasn't really picking up on that. And
yeah, I landed my shot on the front of the green, knowing it would run out, and of course I wouldn't tell Kyle that, so he went a little bit long.
Yeah, at this point I was just trying to 2-putt. I had a really good putt. Had a lot of stuff to hit through, so knocked that one in and got out of there with a par. Steve for birdie. And again, I don't know if that was short, but it was a little high for sure. But yeah, it seems like the longer hitters tend to do that more. It's almost like we get locked up a bit when it comes to the putter.
Yeah, it certainly tends to get less of our practice time.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something. It definitely plays a factor, I think, our distance. And then I pulled mine out a bit left, but once again, it's a good spot to miss. I mean, if you somehow hit a tee shot off this hole where you don't have a good look into the green, you got some problems.
Yeah. This is another one where I hit it not solid, but it was straight enough to be in play.
Yeah.
Which, when I'm on the course, I like those misses.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, guys, the main defense that this course had, no question about it, was the greens. Like, this course was not going to beat you up tee to green, but the shots can add up quickly around the green if you're stupid. And obviously, that's something that happens, I think, to everyone from time to time, because like the grain and the way that it pulls is a little weird. So it can get you on the greens, and that's where we were always trying to figure stuff out. Like, it seemed like if we had it going on the greens, we were going to shoot a good round, more or less.
Yeah, we're both very good ball strikers.
Yeah, so that was a disappointing par on my end, and
thankfully I hit it close here, and I was able to make the putt.
Yep. So Steve pulls ahead a little bit more. I think he's 3 under, and I'm 1 under at this point. It sucks, man. When you're under par and you're losing by 2 shots, it's not a very good feeling. But
this is a pretty cool hole. Dogleg right, you got to go over some water, or I guess you could hit it short left, but we're definitely going over it.
The pin
mine went through on the left side of the fairway.
He's gonna have a fun shot. The flag is right over that tallest tree, and you could see mine. I knew I absolutely killed mine, and I was thinking it was gonna be all right. But this thing just carried, and I'm in a hilarious spot, by the way. Like, you guys can see those hedgerows right behind the pin. I'm on the tee box of the next hole, chipping over those. So stay tuned for that. And so Steve got a pretty good draw here, be able to hit it right through those pines.
Yeah, hit a pretty good shot there.
I'm literally probably like 60 yards over the green onto the next. The camera's literally on the next tee box, filming me. So I really had no clue how far. And that was the problem with this shot. Was like I couldn't really get a good visual perception of how far I needed to hit it, and I realized I came up short. So, yep. And I hit a really pretty good chip here. Had a lot of bite on it, fortunately, so I didn't go too far by. And I think, you can see my ball there. Rolled maybe 6-7 feet by tops. And Steve's got a putt to get to 4 under on the day. And, yeah, left it a bit short.
This was another putt where I thought I hit it well, and it just didn't go where I wanted. So
yeah, it was just tough to get a bead on these greens, but I made a really good putt here. I seemed to make a lot of. It seemed like we made a lot of par putts. That's what it seemed like. So, and that was another really good putt there. So 2 great saves. Now on to hole 15. Nothing's changed. Still 2 shots back of Steve. And the pin here was diabolical. Like, it was on an absolute shelf. And Steve took kind of the safe way, going this front center, as he should, because I'm the one who's got to play aggressive at this point. And so I kind of took dead aim, knocked down a 9-iron here, and tried to play it in from the right. Just go right at it. Because I think I was 2 shots back with 4 to play, so I needed to start making some birdies. And, yeah, I really hit the exact shot I was trying to hit here. This was carving right in, just right of the pin, perfect distance. And, yeah, I mean, it was good to be able to hit a shot like that under pressure. But we've really been playing a lot, as I've said before. So I feel like we were pretty locked in with the competitive juices were definitely flowing. So we were pretty locked in and really trying to shoot a good score. So a pretty good 2-putt there from Steve. I'm going to have a chance to pull within 1 here. Really straightforward putt, and definitely a great spot to leave yourself off that tee. And I mean, yeah, that was hard to watch because I mean, I didn't want to see that again, but it's part of the video. Now hole 16, we're just trying to hit some irons off the tee. This is a kind of I like to call it the puke zone. It's too short for driver and just a little bit too long for an iron, given the fact that it was a bit of a headwind. So we kind of had to do a bit of a forced layup, unfortunately. So I think he hit a 3-iron up the center, right side, and I hit a 2-iron as well. So just trying to get in position, a little bit right, but I think it stayed in the fairway if I remember correctly. But yeah, at this point I was really trying to get some shots back.
Yeah, this was a fun one. Play a little bump and run here. Pin was tucked up front, so I just kind of took my gap wedge and knocked it down.
Yeah, I was definitely, this shot caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting you to pull that out of the bag. I don't think many people do, especially if you're a long driver. People don't think that we can hit those shots. You can see I just barely avoided the sand to the right there again. That would have actually been I would have been pretty angry if I got in there again. So I squeezed this one out a bit right. Another really average shot. And yeah, you can see we both hit our shots a bit past the hole. At this point, it's kind of a putting contest on this hole. So I thought this one looked pretty good. Yeah, and then it went a little light and ball just stopped quick. And that's what I was noticing a lot on these greens was the ball was just stopping incredibly fast. So that was tough to navigate. So I got the benefit of having a bit of a cheat on the read here. And pretty much missed it the same way. At least I got it there. But yeah, those are putts I need to have fall for me right now. So now 2 to play. I'm 2 down and definitely need something to happen. So Steve's kind of taking another safe shot here. And this was right on it. I was like, damn, this is not what I need from him right now if I want to make a comeback. Yeah, he went a little bit long, I think. And so I could tell. So I had a bit of an opening. I really had to kind of jump on it a bit. So just a little bit of a pitching wedge, just trying to trap it in from the right. Kind of started a bit left where I wanted to, but it was still knocked down pretty good. It was good distance, so that helped out a lot. Once again, the TrackMan wasn't running on this hole because we actually had to conserve the power. Because it was up down to 3% at this point. Because keep in mind, we've already played like probably 21 holes at this point because they've been running since the 6-hole challenge, the 7-iron challenge we had earlier today. Like we've been probably playing for 6 hours.
Yeah,
so,
and in 90-plus degree temperatures.
Yeah, so I just wanted the TrackMan to get the last 2 tee shots on 18. And, man, I thought this one was in, but it kind of crept by a little bit.
As like Kyle said, my tee shot went long. I was trying to play a little knockdown, took too much. So just getting up and down.
That was an important putt right there. That was a very important putt. Still anyone's match, though. I mean, it's par 5, and this is, just letting it rip, and this was a huge tee shot.
Match, but I hit it good and doing the happy dance.
I think at that point he was pretty confident what would happen with the match, because obviously if he hit it out of bounds or into hazard, that would give me an opening, but still anything can happen, and I was not going to go down without a fight. So I kind of had no choice but just absolutely lean on one and put it out there pretty good, almost 210 ball speed. So we're both in pretty good shape here. I think I'm a little bit past him on the right. And, 190 yards left. Just a 6-iron in.
Yeah, this is a par five. It goes down a hill, and it's a forced carry of 320 something. And
Yeah.
we're back into the headwind here, so we both hit it good to get over it. And then I had a blind shot in. I hit it pretty good, but I wasn't sure where it was going to end up.
Yeah, and I was the same way. Like, I was hitting a bit of a knockdown 9-iron, just trying, because I couldn't really exactly figure out how far the number was, but I had a good idea, and obviously this was an important shot. I hit it kind of how I wanted to, but as with any blind shot, you never really know until you get up there. But yeah, I went over, unfortunately, and I had a really tricky pitching wedge, kind of trying to run it back up the half pipe, and did about as good as I could. And yeah, I got myself probably, it looks like, if I remember correctly, it was like a 10, 12 footer I had left. And here's Steve, a little bit long. And he's pretty much just got to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid here. And he's pretty much got it in hand at this point. And hit it a little by, but...
Yeah, a little too aggressive, but like you said, put it on and try and make a putt.
Yeah, you can see my putt for birdie sitting right there. And he pulls it a bit. But he'll knock that one in to shoot, I think, 369. And so I got a meaningless putt here, but, I still want to knock it in. This will be for, I think, a 70, 2 under par. And I will knock it in. So
And a good finish.
So that was a fun little match, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed doing it. It definitely stings to get clipped by a shot, but Steve is one heck of a player, so it's always fun to go to battle with him. And I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know this is something you guys have been wanting to watch for a while. And yeah, Steve, if you have any other thoughts, please let them know now. I think it went well.
Well, thanks, Kyle. Like you said, it was a great battle. You're always a lot of fun to play with. Hopefully everybody watching can see us in a long drive competition soon.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that just about does it for us. And, Steve, thanks for coming on at it's now 3:30 in the morning, so thanks for coming on at this weird hour. I think it was a lot of fun. And obviously, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.